You ever notice how some days your phone just doesn't stop? Not emergencies, not anything crazy, just stuff. Hey, quick question. Just checking on this. Wanted to see what you think. And you answer, of course you do, because that's a part of it, right? But after a while, you start noticing something. It's not the size of the problems, it's often you're involved. That's what's draining. Now think about that the last few days. How many times did something happen that needed your input? Not your approval, your input. Because without you, it wouldn't move. That's the part most landlords miss. The system pauses until you step in. Now let's slow that down. A tenant sends a message. Hey, what's the process for maintenance? Seems simple. You explain it. Now another tenant asks something similar. Different wording, same idea. You explain it again. Now a third situation comes up. Not exactly the same, but close enough. Now you're thinking, adjusting, responding. And what feels like three small moments is actually the same problem on repeat. Not the question, the lack of clarity behind it. Because if the system was clear, that question wouldn't exist. Now take that same pattern and apply it to everything. Rent. Hey, I'll be a few days late. What happens if I pay on the 5th? Is there a late fee? Each one becomes a conversation. Maintenance. When will this be fixed? Who do I contact? Should I follow up? More conversation. Guest. Parking. Noise. Every category turns into interaction. Not because tenants want to talk more, but because they don't know what happens next. That's where the work is coming from, not the situation itself, the uncertainty around it. Now, here's where it starts costing you not just time, energy, because now every response requires something from you. You have to think, you have to decide, you have to stay aware. Even small decisions take energy, and when they stack, it becomes exhausting. That's why some days feel heavier than they should. Not because the problems are big, because there are too many decisions. Now imagine a different setup. A tenant has a question and doesn't ask it. Not because they're afraid, because they already know. They know what happens. They know the process. They know the outcome. So they move. No messages, no follow up, no delay. That's clarity. Clarity removes decision. And when decisions disappear, so does most of the work. Now the system moves without you. Not completely, but far more than before. That's the difference between a property that feels heavy and one that feels controlled. One requires input, the other runs on structure. And here's the part that hits most people. A lot of the work you've been dealing with was never required. It was created by gaps in expectations, gaps in communication, gaps in how the system was built. And once those gaps exist, the system fills them with conversation. That's why things feel repetitive, because they are. The same unclear situation showing up in different ways, over and over and over. Now flip that. When things are defined, people don't ask. When outcomes are consistent, people don't test. When the system is clear, people don't hesitate. They follow it. That's where the workload disappears. Not because you worked harder, because the system stopped creating unnecessary interactions. If your property creates constant back and forth, it's not because there's too much happening, it's because too much is unclear. Fix the clarity. And you don't just reduce work, you remove the need for it.